And welcome back to episode 192 of the Weekly Tech Rant with me, Jay.
And me, Karl.
Oh, Karl, I am still battling this cold that is floating around. I can't seem to shake it.
It's going everywhere. I think half my family's got it. It's
Oh.
only a matter of time.
You will succumb.
Exactly. It's not an if, it's a when.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what a week in tech it has been this week. So, first thing I want to talk about really briefly is the new Delta Force game that has dropped, doesn't it, this week? Which is, it's not the Delta Force game of 15 years ago, which was a great game, wasn't it? Delta Force.
Oh, yes.
Made
Lost
by,
many an hour to that.
Yes, I'm trying to think who is it originally made by. Oh, come to me.
Can't remember. Wasn't Nova Logic or something like that, was it?
Nova Logic, thank you. It was Nova Logic, wasn't it? Which is an amazing game, really good game. Kind of, and then there was a Black Hawk Down one, and then kind of stuff like that, sort of inspired by it. Well, this new one released this week is a free-to-play first-person tactical shooter, which has dropped via Steam. Now, we were kind of like, this is going to be a great game. It's Delta Force.
Sure.
It's going to be good.
Delta Force.
And it's free. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Free doesn't always mean good, does it? And turns out it's not quite what it appears to be, with what I can only describe as the weirdest set of things you are not allowed to have running with a game.
It's got its own anti-cheat, hasn't it? So this is actually by Tencent out of China, isn't it?
Yep.
Obviously, it's free to play, so they're expecting you to buy skins at £100 a pop and all that kind of stuff. But I'm sure you could probably safely ignore those ones. But they've got their own DRM in there, or anti-cheat system, I should say. Apparently it's not great, and as you mentioned, there's a whole list of stuff you're not allowed to have on your PC, otherwise it'll flag the anti-cheat stuff.
And we're talking ridiculous stuff, aren't we, as well? There's two categories apparently, which is prohibited and recommended.
Yeah.
Prohibited stuff is what they're trying to avoid is these bots, isn't it? The aim bots, all that kind of stuff that people use to do it. But apparently you are not allowed to have running. This is brilliant. So hardware-wise, you're not allowed to have any USB drives running. No hardware macros.
No flash drives plugged in or anything like that, yeah?
No screen splitters. No KVM boxes. No DMAs. No development boards like an Arduino or Raspberry Pi. You can't have any analysis software, so that includes cheat software, but things like API monitors, process monitor.
What you mean, Task Manager?
Yeah. Any debugging tools. No speed hack software. Again, that makes sense. No emulation scripts. Oh, and don't even think about running any of your virtual environments while you're playing this.
Or trying to run this in a VM. Now, the one that threw me there was DMA, is in direct memory access. Basically saying built into every single driver for every single peripheral and device within your PC. So is every
hardware driver banned?
Your NVIDIA drivers use that. Can you not use a graphics card? I'm a little confused by that one.
And don't have running either any remote control or desktop sharing software. So TeamViewer, AnyDesk, even Parsec, my favorite.
Yeah. And apparently, during the installation, it doesn't mention that it's going to install this. And it's kernel level anti-cheat as well. It makes no mention of it. And apparently when you uninstall it, it doesn't actually remove it. It just carries on in the background.
Not impressed, I have to say. I will not be going anywhere near that.
No. So if you've preloaded it like I did or installed it, it only installs the anti-cheat when you first launch the game. So don't and uninstall it instead.
Yes, and walk away and enjoy other games. Perhaps ones where you might have to part with some cash, but at least you're not getting owned by the weirdest set of DMA known to man.
Yeah.
DRM. DRM, that's what I'm thinking. DMA on the brain now. Right, let's get back into this week's lineup then. So we're going to talk Intel with some news that we really didn't think was going to happen, but I guess isn't a surprise. We're going to talk Intel again with some news again, which we didn't expect that was going to happen, but it has. We're going to talk Musk, and he's not getting a payday. Have you heard of the Brazilian iPhone? Because I hadn't until today. And Apple are also spending a lot of cash too. Money they probably didn't want to be spending. It's been a theme this week, isn't there?
There is. People want money and not getting it, and people don't want money but are getting it, yeah.
Exactly. To round out, we're going to talk about the $90 Wi-Fi router, which you can run whatever you want on, another good old AliExpress. And we'll round out with the Tech Rant Rumour Mill with another iPhone 17 rumour. But first, let's talk about the sad news then, that Pat Gelsinger has retired from Intel. I state retired.
Retired or pushed?
Well, officially retired, hasn't he?
Yes, officially. You're right. So this is, was it a couple of days ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's stepped down as a CEO, and he's also resigned from his position on Intel's board of directors. So it was a bit less than 4 years, wasn't it, since he
It
moved
was.
from VMware to Intel? Yeah, I mean, it's not been a great couple of years, has it? Whether that's Pat's fault or whether he's inherited it, or I suspect a bit of both. But yeah, he'll be joining one of the 15,000 employees that have been laid off this year, or have been planned to be laid off.
Well, I'd say a lot of those were under his leadership to start with. But let's be
They
honest.
were, but unlike those mere mortals, any of us, he's got a very, very nice golden handshake, hasn't he? When he's leaving the company.
He has indeed. So he'll be parting with a rumored $9.7 million in severance pay on his exit from Intel. And now stepping in behind him, by the way, is a co-CEO team, isn't it? So
Yes.
we've got the CFO David Zinster. I think I pronounced that right.
Yeah, sounds right.
And the CEO of Intel Products Division, Michelle Johnston Holthouse. Who have been lined up as the current replacements.
They'll be the interim CEOs, won't they? While the board finds someone new.
I mean, so Pat, as you say, did 10 years, best part of 10 years at VMware, where he turned the company around under, a difficult situation. I think, VMware was struggling a little bit. We had the whole piece with Dell. We had the whole uncoupling from Dell.
Oh, Dell.
And we had that part as well. And of course, back at Intel, he was, one of the company. I think he was the company's youngest ever VP. He started his whole employment with Intel way back in 1979. I think he was 18 when he joined the company, and of course was one of the brains behind the 486 processor. Became the company's first CTO in 2001. So he has this really good history with Intel, and I'm guessing, given the current situation, that I'd imagine having him retire was probably the right PR move for Intel and
Definitely.
the right PR move for Pat himself he is an older statesman, isn't he, if you will, of the tech industry.
He is, and what surprised me though is I thought the first thing to be chopped might have been the foundry business, but no, according to the board chair Frank Yeary, he's kind of indicated Intel will continue with Pat's focus on expanding the chip foundry business. So honestly, I honestly thought that might have got the chop.
I honestly thought it would as well, given the fact that they were playing catch up, weren't they, in the marketplace? TSMC are leaps and bounds ahead. We've got the Intel 18A process, which is due next year, which, according to Intel, is meant to be competitive, but other reports are saying that actually the gains are quite moderate, and it's more of a sort of one Korean news report is saying they're actually only about 10% above what they're getting now, which is not good.
Not great, since they're quite behind anyway.
My thought would be they'll spin this off and they'll focus on either the architecture piece and design CPUs, and they'll outsource all of their foundries. But clearly not.
I suppose they just got their 8 billion, or was it 8 billion or 7 or 6 in the end for the CHIPS Act, didn't they? CHIPS Act. Yeah, I suppose they have to do something with a foundry here.
What I was going to say, they've got to get they've got to get most of it back. So I mean, and plus they've just, as you say, they've just given $10 million to Pat. So apparently that breaks down to 18 months of his yearly salary, which is 1.25 million.
Well, so it's 18 months is 1.8 million.
Sorry, 1.8. Yeah,
and he's got a bonus based on target performance. So for his, which is 5.16 million. And he gets a portion, I say a portion, he gets 11 months out of 12 of his annual bonus, so 2.9 million.
Thank you for stepping in there. I was just having a hell of a coughing fit. Sorry.
That's all right.
But I mean, it's not a bad way to end. And apparently he still owns quite a lot of VMware stock, according to
and VMware stock.
Yeah, well, yes, I'm saying So he's not short of a few quid.
He'll be fine. But surprisingly, one of the last things that got announced, or was it announced the day after an announcement of his retirement?
It was, wasn't it?
Is the Intel Battlemage graphics cards coming out?
I can't believe we're still getting these.
I wasn't sure. Intel had to go at this before, they did the first generation, the old Starfighters, the i740s, I think it was, and then it didn't work out and they stopped. But no, this is the second generation Battlemage. Now we've technically already Battlemage release, haven't we, with the Intel Lunar Lake laptop chips?
Yeah, that's correct.
But the desktop ones are going to have more than double the graphics cards, up to 12 gig of dedicated VRAM, and they've upped the power envelope to 190 watts to be able to let it stretch his legs. But we are getting two new cards, aren't we? We're getting the B580 and the B what's it, 570.
And as cars go, they look pretty nice. I like the power placement right in the center at the top there, isn't it?
Is that a good place though? That just makes
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
A wide case, don't you?
Very wide case, and your cable.
Stick it on the end, and it's nice and easy. Oh, I suppose when you need a longer case, it's a tricky one. But yeah, I mean they're aiming at these are cheap. Right, they are aiming at the RTX 4060 and AMD's RX 7600. So they are. We got the 580 is launching at $249. And that's the 12 gig VRAM one with 20 XE cores. What's the bus interface there? I know there was a difference. That was 192-bit memory bus on that.
Yeah, so it was, and as you say, I think on that point though with the memory there, it's still 12 gig is good, but it's still at the lower end of the market, isn't it? It's not.
Well, it's not for Nvidia. It is for AMD.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
AMD usually ship with 12 or 16 gig of RAM. Nvidia, other than the 4090, 3090 with their 24 gigs, they're generally shipping 10 or 12 still, aren't they?
Yeah, but I think the market sector that Intel are aiming at here is not. They're not trying to displace Nvidia at the top end. You're right.
They're aiming kind of mid-market,
middle round. Yeah.
So
we've got several board partners that I have to start, haven't we? So Intel's doing reference boards, but we've got several of the board partners. So we've got Acer, ASRock, a couple I've not heard before, Gunnar, Onyx, and Maxsun, and Sparkle.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm tempted. I mean, given that this sector of the market is the 4060s and the 3060s are kind of those middle market, lower end, aren't they? And AMD with the 7600 series again. If you're building a budget rig, this could be a good place to start. Given the price point,
especially if you look at the 570, I know you only get 10 gig of VRAM, but it's $220.
I mean, that's compared to how many $220. I mean, add another zero on the end, and you're at the top end of the graphics card market, aren't you? Really?
What surprised me though, looking at the interface, is only an X8. PCI Express 4 X8. Doesn't need a 16.
Even better. They are. I mean, they want. I think they want to shift these cards. They're not looking for tons of high value sales. They're talking about volume sales here, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So if anyone will take it though, let's.
Well, we've got to see. I think we've got to get them out in the marketplace. We've got to see some real benchmarks. How are they going to perform on AAA games? We're looking here at playing at 1440p, aren't we, as opposed to 4K? So look, I think again, if you're not got a lot of cash to spend, but you want a decentish graphics card, this should now be an option. Now, obviously, like I say, hold that as a thought because we don't got the real output. How is it going to play? But yeah, given that if you just take it at face value, you've got a choice now. You don't have to go AMD or Nvidia.
Yeah.
Which for a long time, we couldn't have said that, could we?
Was your only choice? Yeah.
There was no choice at all. It was.
There were times where there was only one choice.
Yeah. So for a 1440p gaming, which actually I noticed a lot of monitors these days are pretty much 1440p, isn't there? There's a lot of 165 hertz monitors now. Going for less than $200 around that piece. So
I'm playing somewhere weird in the middle. I've got an ultra wide, so it's not 4K, but it's bigger than 1440p.
Yeah. So I'm also thinking you're looking at here, depending on the game, less than 100 frames a second, probably a 1440p. I think Cyberpunk, probably Diablo 4, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to be looking at that again. Obviously, if you want to pump out more monitors, you're going to need more. But yeah, so I think here I had my notes. I couldn't find it. Yeah, so the B50, the 580 memory interface is 192-bit with a 456 gigasecond bandwidth on that. And as you say, the 570 is 160-bit with 380. So, but the power's not bad though, is it? 190 to 150 watt across the board.
No, not bad at all. I mean, Still less than a whole Intel CPU.
Yeah, I think the other thing obviously too here is that, like Nvidia with a DLSS, AMD's what's it called, FreeSync, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got Intel now have got their XESS, or what are they calling it?
Yep.
Which is
it is. It's the their AI cores, isn't it? XMX
Yeah.
cores.
Which they say now,
AMD doesn't actually have any AI cores, does it? It does.
No, that's right. It does it differently. But Intel are saying that that is now supported. I read, where did I see it? 150 plus games now support it.
Okay, that's not bad at all.
No, well, now according to Intel, and this is Intel's figures, they say average performance gain from 22 to 80% of 1440.
Compared to what?
Well,
previous gen?
Well, it doesn't state. It just says that. Like,
they've taken a leaf out of Apple's book.
Apple's book, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but I'm pleased to see it. We talked so long about these cards were coming and whether would we see them. We saw the mobile chips drop first, and we saw then the really sort of low end chips, didn't we? And now we're seeing some proper competitive desktop GPUs. So look, let's see what we get. It may fall on its face, but it may not. Okay, as I'm still choking, what have we got next then?
Oh, we have the Brazilian iPhone. So, a Brazilian company called Gradient claims to have patented the iPhone name before Apple. So this has kind of led to a legal dispute over the trademark in Brazil. And this began back in 2012, this dispute. So, Gradient CEO Eugenio Storb.
Great name.
Yeah, basically, he's trying to defend the company. Look, against accusations that he's trying to profit from Apple's name. He said, look, we brought out the Gradient iPhone in the year 2000, so 7 years before Apple's iPhone release. They allegedly sold 30,000 units of the device at that point. However, due to a dispute between Gradient and another Brazilian company, the iPhone trademark was only granted in 2008, obviously a year after the iPhone. But by that time, they've actually ceased production of the phone, and they restarted a new one, or the second revision of this in 2012, but based on Android. I don't know. I suppose there must be some evidence here that they started, if they filed that back in 2000 or whatever, it's saying to 2008 to get it granted, there must be history of that, surely.
Yeah, but I guess if it was only in the local market.
Well, that's what I mean. I presume they're not trying to go, it doesn't actually say. Are they trying to go for worldwide? Try and get an injunction on Apple? I don't know.
No.
But apparently this is now at the Supreme Court in Brazil and awaiting final judgment.
Yeah, I mean, this is don't forget the same Supreme Court that has overturned the injunction on the App Store now, hasn't it? So that they can resell apps again in Brazil.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you've got a phone that they launched in 2000, right? But clearly didn't go anywhere. May have done locally, but how popular realistically was it? They didn't actually.
2,000 phones weren't a huge thing. 30,000 units was probably quite a substantial amount.
Yeah, exactly. But was it something that was? I mean, it doesn't state. But was it a rebadged device? Was it something else?
No idea.
And then to say that to then go down the point of saying that they then didn't register the trademark properly though until a year after the iPhone was launched globally. Again, kind of thinks yourself, you're on.
But was that? That's not quite what they said. They said it didn't get it till 2008 because of disagreement with another company. So maybe that had been in litigation for 6 years.
Well,
until it was granted. I don't know. It's kind of missing some key facts.
It is missing some key facts here, isn't it? And then the irony to have one that's running Android and call it the iPhone as well is just brilliant.
Well, yes, there is that one. But then Cisco had the iPhone.
Yeah, but they didn't again. But it didn't do anything with in terms of
well, it did. That was their name of their that was their IP phones, wasn't it?
Yeah, but again,
it wasn't a mobile phone.
No,
it was a phone of sorts, though.
Now the name iPhone is absolutely synonymous with Apple, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
There isn't any other way of looking at it. But good luck for these guys. I'm not entirely sure what they're doing. I know the CEO was saying that he said that Brazil doesn't recognize many of its own innovations. Well, that's a problem with Brazil, perhaps.
Well, maybe yes.
So, yes, we'll leave that one there. One so we did skip over was Elon Musk and his $56 billion pay packet has been declined again, hasn't it? At a court now in Delaware.
It has.
After it was disputed by who was it? Why was it? Who's the guy?
So Richard Tornetta.
Thank you. Who was? I think Richard can. This is brilliant. I love how it states in the story on TechCrunch. A former corporate defense lawyer and thrash metal drummer. I mean, how is that relevant to the story?
But why not throw that in? Spicy.
I've just had underlined that in my notes. I was like, why is that relevant? So this is the deal that was put together by Tesla and ratified by the shareholders to say that once Tesla had hit their market cap, wasn't it, and certain points in their sales plan, Musk was to get this $50 billion.
Yeah, because this is when they were in trouble, wasn't it? Or it wasn't going very well. They were a bit of a crisis, weren't they? Stock price plummeting, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and he's under his leadership, the company turned around, and this was awarded to him back in 2018, which is thing. Now since then, obviously Tesla has left up many things. Many things have happened since then. Now he didn't get the money in 2018, and it was re-ratified at this year's company annual meeting by their shareholders, but has now been I want to say slapped down, really, hasn't it, by the judge Kathleen McCormack? In Delaware.
She's kind of upheld that decision to reject his $56 billion pay package. And she basically tore the Musk on Tesla's own legal defense to pieces, didn't she?
Brilliant, yeah.
She had a field day with it. How big was it? It was 103 page. The judge's 103 page opinion highlighted multiple flaws in Tesla's legal team's argument, which she deemed fatal to their own case. That's not a great summary, is it?
That's quite damning, isn't it? Really?
If you hadn't put your own legal team in, I probably would have said yes, but they mucked up so badly, I've had to say no.
I mean, it just. It started off with, didn't it, that they got turned down before.
Yeah.
Tesla then put a new statement out to their shareholders saying that they'd get to vote again. They voted to say yes. And basically they went to the judge, and they said, well, shareholders say it's fine. The judge went, you've got no legal standpoint.
That's not how the law works.
It's like, whoa!
Your own legal team should have told you that.
She tore them apart, and I think her statement was that novelty is not necessarily damning, but the defendant's novel request flies in the face of policy basis for all relevant rules of procedure and for the law of case doctrine. Finally, efficiency, consistency, integrity of the judicial process. Ooh, ouch.
Yeah.
And to just rub salt in the wound, she awarded all the legal fees, didn't she, to
Richard Tornetta, and his legal team, $345 million, which is slightly less than the $5.6 billion they initially sought.
Where were they getting that from as well?
I don't know. But Tesla apparently plans to appeal the decision in the Delaware Supreme Court, although the company has now since reincorporated in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, this is what makes me chuckle, right? Elon Musk currently, according to Real Time List, he is the richest human to ever lived. He's worth over $330 billion.
Right. That's a small pot of money.
I mean, that is bigger than the GDP of some nations.
Yes.
I'm not sure what to state at that point. It's just absurd.
It is. But he's worth that. How much does he actually have on hand? And I think that's a problem with a lot of rich people, isn't it? It's a lot of it's in properties and stocks, and it's not Scrooge McDuck cash piles, is it?
No, that's a very valid point. I guess there are very few cash billionaires, if any.
Yeah.
His net worth. I mean, back in 2012, he was first listed on the Forbes billionaire list,
right,
with a net worth of $2 billion.
Okay, still not shabby.
As of December, so this year, 6 days ago, $362 billion, according to Bloomberg.
Wowza.
I mean, your mind loses all comprehension of that much wealth, isn't it? And I think you're right. I think cash rich.
The people that rich kind of lose, I suppose, the view of reality, isn't it? They can afford anything, and you don't have to worry about anything. They can't really associate with normal people anymore.
Well, I was just going to say, money has.
It's irrelevant to them.
Yeah, it has no intrinsic value because you can afford everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and everything has a price, but you can afford it at that point.
Well, that's it, isn't it? You get to a stage where nothing is, in theory, outside the realms of your affordability, and you can. But the more you could spend money, but in theory, the money you spend, you've earned it back in interest or additional stock.
Yeah.
Very crazy, very crazy.
Loads of money. But
So
we will see how that plays out, won't we?
What's another 56 billion when you've got 330?
Oh, I know. Crazy money. Talking of crazy money,
indeed,
the Indonesian government is playing hardball with Apple. So Apple started to try and diversify where it builds phones, hasn't it? So it's not all reliant on China, and one of those is Indonesia. But Apple initially invested 109 million, or promised to invest 109 million dollars into a developer academy there, along with a further 10 million commitment for manufacturing spend. So getting local factories to build parts of the iPhone or other Apple products. But according to the Indonesian government, Apple's kind of fallen short on the first promise, haven't they? They only spent 95 million on this academy.
I think this is ridiculous, right? You ban the sale of a product because the company hasn't invested enough in your local economy.
Well, yeah, so they said, look, they've only invested 90 million. As a result, this has prevented Indonesia's Ministry of Industry from issuing the proper IMEI certifications, and this is required for the device to be sold in the country.
This just to me
it's a shakedown.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. This is a Wild West stick up, isn't it?
But it gets worse, I say. So Apple then responded to that, okay, by offering a 10-fold increase in manufacturing spend. So rather than spending 10 million on local factories to build stuff, they're going to spend 100 million. Well, it seems that is not quite enough for the Indonesian government, is it? Their investment minister has come out to say that Indonesia are expecting to get a 1 billion investment commitment from Apple, with a statement saying, whoever benefits from the sales must invest here, create jobs here. What's important is how the global value chain moves here, because once it does, suppliers follow. And it gets worse. It's not just the 1 billion. Apple has a week to decide. So they're not just saying we want all the money, we're putting a time limit on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just again.
I mean, go big or go home, I suppose.
It is, isn't it? And it's just a hilarious of well, you're good for 100 million. If you're good for 100 million, I reckon you're good for 1 billion. What do you reckon now then?
We've seen your share price and your financial results. We know you're good for 1 billion.
I mean, come on, $1 billion is just an accounting error when you're worth 3.7 trillion.
Exactly, yeah. That's pocket change down the back of the sofa.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just nuts, isn't it? Absolutely nuts.
Look, I kind of get some of it. I get that, investing, trying to get people to invest in the economy and create jobs. That's what the minister's there for, I'm sure. But yeah, it does come across as a bit of a shakedown.
It absolutely comes out as a bit of a shakedown, and it just stinks. But they probably will get their money, I suspect, because Apple are not going to want to miss out on.
It's a large market.
A market, yeah.
Whether that market can afford to buy an iPhone,
I
don't know, but it is a large market. Well, it may well be the price adjusted accordingly, but I doubt it.
We'll see.
We'll see. But India did a similar thing, though, didn't they? India's done a very similar thing with multiple companies, so yeah.
And they got it, yeah.
Who knows? We will see, hopefully, by next time, whether Apple decide to pay.
Tune in next week for the latest on that. Well, anyway, talking of things that cost slightly less money, you and I obviously both run our own kind of home setups from a network perspective. We've got our own firewalls that we run open source software on. We do run industry spec Wi-Fi with Ubiquiti and the Unify product, but we roll our own cloud servers, don't we, for that, rather than the cloud keys.
Yes, exactly. We run that all locally.
Well, for $90, we could now pick up what they call the the
Open WRT1
yeah, I
Wi-Fi
was just trying to
router.
work out a right. Yeah, thank you. I'd like
A
the
snappy
open
name.
word.
So it's by the Software Freedom Conservancy, the
It
SFC.
didn't roll off the tongue, that one, did it?
No, it does not. But this is an open source router hardware, which the SFC say will never be locked down. Gives the owner the rights to change, modify, and repair as they like, and it kind of comes out the box with open up WRT.
Which I used to run on old D-Link routers, by the way.
Well, yeah, you used to flash them, didn't you? You'd flash them. That whole open WRT. There's a whole wiki about how you can take all these off-the-shelf routers, isn't there, and what you need to do to be able to load open WRT on it. Basically, replace the inbuilt OS. I've done that on a couple of other bits and pieces. I don't think it's my main router. I think I put it on some access points to enable some kind of relay mode or something. I can't remember what it was to extend my Wi-Fi signal. But yeah, I mean, it's good. The hardware is pretty reasonable. There's some
for the price, yeah, I think it is.
Very odd decisions going on. But look, for $90, you're getting the board. You're getting a nice metal case by the look of it. It's a MediaTek CPU. It's basically based on ARM's Cortex A53, so it's dual core, 1.3 gigahertz. You're getting a gig of RAM. There's some expansion there. You can put there's an M2 expansion slot you can use. You get a 1 gig and a 2.5 gig Ethernet, which supports PoE. You get Wi-Fi 6 built in, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands, so not the fastest 6 gigahertz, and it can be powered via USB-C or PoE.
And there's a 2.5 gig Ethernet port, isn't there?
That's what I said, a 1 gig and a 2.5 gig Ethernet.
Sorry, I misheard that. Yeah.
You can buy from AliExpress, can't you, for $89?
I mean, I'm tempted. I'm tempted to get one, actually. I think it's an interesting bit of kit. But
as I said,
yeah, go on.
I have some reservations. There's some odd decisions, okay? So the NICs, you've got a 1 gig and a 2.5. Now the 2.5 is the WAN. So that means no one machine can get more than 1 gig because that's the one connected to the LAN. And that Wi-Fi isn't going to go over 1 gig.
Yes.
And the even more bizarre one is it's powered by PoE.
Yeah.
But it's only on the WAN port.
Yeah, so that's starting to kind of cut your options out a bit.
I could be wrong, but I've never seen a modem or an ONT for fiber. The thing you plug into the WAN port actually have PoE out capabilities to power what's coming at the other end.
I haven't come across one personally. It doesn't mean they don't exist.
No, but it would be more sensible to have that on the LAN port, surely, so you could plug into a PoE switch.
Well, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you? But
bit an odd decision. And obviously it's ARM, so that may limit the router OS you can put on there.
Yeah.
As its replacement. I mean, I've not seen pfSense or OPN Sense run on ARM as far as I'm aware.
Not that I've seen, no. But again,
there will be others though. There's OpenWRT, I think Router OS. Is that what I'm thinking of? Fios as well, I think, support ARM. There are a couple other ones as well.
There are a couple other, yeah. But as I say, for $90, I think it's bargain. It's not bargain is the right word. And and there are some bargains to be had on AliExpress. I mean, I picked up. I got it from Amazon. But you get one on Ali. Was that B-Link PC? Which I'm using as a firewall now.
Yeah, I got mine. Mine's I can't remember what mine is, but it was from AliExpress. I ordered it in. I'm using that as my firewall.
Yeah, I mean there are some good bits of kit out there as well, so you shouldn't discount AliExpress.
No, I think I would wait for the V2. If that had just had a pair of 2.5 gigabyte,
that would be better
interfaces. It would have been a better proposition for a lot of people, and I don't think that would have cost much more money. Surely,
probably not.
If it said $99 instead of $89, and it was a pair of 2.5 gigs, that would have been a better buy, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Definitely. I mean, definitely some odd choices, but there's clearly some. Yeah, because it's the great start. There's probably some logic behind it, but maybe we're missing that in the story. Yeah. But there we go. Right. Well, that's probably a good place for us to. Yes, the iPhone 17 Air, which is due for release next year, or at least so we assume, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the rumors are that this is going to obviously be, the thinnest iPhone 17 or thinnest iPhone, excuse me, that's going to be released. It'll be the thinnest iPhone 17 version. And we talked a little bit about this before, didn't we? Like cameras. Well, some more rumors have come out now to suggest that actually it's going to prioritize its thinness over
function.
It's basically going to be style over substance, isn't it?
This report has kind of highlighted how they're going to make it so slim, isn't it?
Yeah. So a few of the things that will be removed from it. Well, obviously we'll talk about the single rear camera in that camera bubble, which we know of. Also, now talking at the lack of a physical SIM card slot,
which you get in the US, don't you? The US iPhones are just eSIM only now, aren't they?
They're exactly, which we don't have that problem at all. Also, the battery capacity is likely going to be smaller as well. And also rumours that it's not going to support the Wave 5G capability as well. Which it means that this phone should also have in it the new Apple 5G modem, was being developed. Why it won't support the other capabilities of that is unsure.
I don't think that's anything to do with the iPhone 17 being the slim part. I just think Apple's in-house modem doesn't support that yet. Whereas the current ones they're using are Qualcomm, aren't they? And they obviously do. But again, they only support it in the US.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, this phone is going to sell. If this really does come out as it is, it is likely to sell. The rumors also is that Apple are only manufacturing this in China with Foxconn. There are some issues rumored around the actual build and design of the phone because of the thinness. I'm sure we'll overcome that.
They're only going to get one because of that. Though, you missed it. You're only getting one speaker.
Oh yes, sorry, it's only one speaker. Where is it? Yes,
and the single rear camera is bizarrely going to be in the center of the phone. Not vertically, horizontally center. Due to space constraints. So
very, very odd.
Quite a lot of cutbacks to get that ultra thin size, isn't there?
But if it is as small and as thin as they say, I think they will sell a lot of these phones.
Yeah, what's it going to be replacing? Is it going to be replacing the Plus, isn't it?
It's Plus.
So not any of the Pros, but you'll get the normal iPhone 17 and a 17 Air, then the two different versions of the Pro.
Well, I'm interested to see what it looks like. I mean, we've got 10 months before we see it, but
we'll get lots more rumors and leaked schematics and all sorts going on before then, I'm sure.
The cases and all that jazz, they'll show up before then. I just hope we don't go back to thin MacBooks.
No, Johnny Ive, okay with some decent keyboards.
I like you, Johnny Ive, but your obsession with thinness got to an extent where there was no need for it.
Are we going back that way now?
I hope not. Please tell me no. Please tell me no. Well, that's probably a good place for us to wrap up for this week. But news is getting a bit thinner as we get towards the end of the year. And with that point, we've only got 2 shows left of this year. So next week, episode 193 will be our last proper show of the year. And then after that, we'll have episode 194, which will be our last show of the actual calendar year. Where we're going to have a talk about the wrap up of the year, things we're looking forward for 2025, maybe think ahead to see that kind of stuff, what's coming, and then we'll obviously be back after our break over the holiday period back in January. But more on that in the next couple of episodes. Of course, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all of the streaming services, including YouTube and on Twitter. I still haven't got around to doing that Blue Sky. I must do that. But of course, you can find us on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. Please leave us a comment, tell your friends about us, or every little helps. So with that, I've been Jay.
I've been Karl. Good day, all.